Can you dig that?
Sucker!
Welcome, welcome one, welcome all once again to the Video Store Clerks Podcast. We are your video store clerks for the evening. I'm Dave.
I'm Chapman.
I'm Mike.
I'm Chuck. And welcome to 60 Minutes.
Bam! It's Clint Eastwood night right here at the store. Join us, won't you? Warning. The following podcast contains mature language and adult discussions. You have been warned.
Welcome to the store.
That actually went good that time.
Scooch.
I lost my hat.
Wait, what are you doing to Dave over there, partner?
He lost his hat.
Wow. Just look at you.
It's Clint Eastwood night, motherfuckers.
That's right. We're getting into the spirit, if you will, of Clint Eastwood and Clint Eastwood night. I myself.
Clint Eastwood's not dead.
Well,
Huh?
I did know that. I was going to say I'm
You
not
said the spirit of it.
very well versed in Clint Eastwood. So I look to be taken to school tonight. I look to be educated.
Weird.
That's right.
Winning.
Damn it.
What is going on over there?
Dave
I
doesn't
have no
have
idea.
Did he break his fucking string?
fracking. I don't know.
Pull the strings. Pull the strings.
When you're live, nothing can go wrong, right? Well, we will start the show as we always do with the news. Oh, let's get this one over with. Tom Sizemore.
Fuck.
Yeah. So the doctors have said there's no hope for recovery, and it's just a matter of time now.
Yeah. Well, the family agreed to just pull it. So
Yeah. So all very sad to hear that.
yeah, definitely. Especially since we just got finished talking about the natural-born killers and everything.
And Heat.
And Heat. Yeah.
So many other good.
It
Roles
happened
that
that
you had.
Sunday, I believe. The brain aneurysm and okay. Moving on. More deaths. Rico Browning,
Who?
the last of the Universal monsters,
Oh, duh. Yeah.
played the creature 93. Yeah, 93. He's been the last Universal monster for a while, I think, hasn't he?
Yeah. He got sick back earlier last year. And I think his daughter or somebody was saying how they wanted people to send him get well cards, shit like that, just to kind of bring up his spirit. And I thought he was bouncing back from what I had heard, because I even sent him a letter. I didn't hear anything back, but it seemed like he was bouncing back. But then the news came out the other day, and fucking sucks.
How old was he?
93.
Oh, wow.
Good life.
Oh,
I don't know if there's much bouncing back when it comes down to being sick at that age.
It's tough.
Well, in more cheery news, Doug Bradley, everyone's favorite Cenobite, has
Yes,
been
he
cast to play Joe Chill in the upcoming CW's Gotham Knights series.
There we go.
It's CW, so we'll see.
What?
W.
Okay.
Robert De Niro is set to star in a Netflix limited series called Zero Day, and it will be his very first TV role ever.
Interesting.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. I figured after Sylvester Stallone started doing like a TV show that a lot more actors who aren't usually around much probably go that route.
TV's the way to go nowadays.
Yeah, that's
Tulsa
true.
King's show's dope though.
Hmm?
So Tulsa King's pretty dope.
Yeah, I haven't watched it yet. It looks like, from the scenes I've seen, it seems like it's all right.
Yeah, it's good.
And finally, a Stranger Things stage play has been announced. It will act as a prequel to the Netflix series called Stranger Things: The First Shadow, and it is set to play in London's West End later this year. Whoop-de-doo.
Get your tickets.
Yeah.
I did see that they said that season 5, the last season, wasn't going to be out till like 2025. That's a long ass wait.
That's a fucking gap.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's gonna forget about that shit.
I still haven't made it past the second season, so.
Oh, it's made it past that. God, I've had it. I've had it with the damn news.
We need more good news.
Right?
Too many mysterious trains are derailing, so we can't get any good news.
Well, let's move on because tonight, ladies and gentlemen, your friendly neighborhood clerks will be counting down their top 3 favorite movies starring Clint Eastwood. So all these movies I pretty much watched over the last week, so they're still kind of fresh in my head. But like I said, I expect to be taken to school. I expect to be taken to school tonight.
Oh, you motherfuckers on coke tonight? What the hell's going on here? Like I'm the only one that's just kind of like chill at the moment. Like everybody's just like, wow. I'll get there.
So we'll kick things off. Oh, I might have got it to stay that time. Yeah.
There you go. How you like their hats, Chuck?
I feel like it's living color, and we should just be like, hated it.
Men on Film, right here. The reboot.
You do you, boo boo.
With two, Men on Film, the reboot with 2 white assholes.
That's what it feels like.
Hated it.
And kicking off the countdown, I guess I'll start. I went with Pale Rider as my number 3. Now, I know this is similar to, High Plains Drifter. That came out a few years before. This came out in 85, I think. It was later. It was sometime in the 80s. When the Western was kind of dying down by that point. Pretty much dead in the 80s.
Yeah, they were pretty much done in the late 70s. For the most part.
But no, I like the supernatural element mixed with the Clint Eastwood coming to town on a horse, coming to clean up the town. I never get tired of seeing that. Just that shot of him coming in on the horse.
You know, I don't remember those movies. I don't remember either one of these you just mentioned. I know I like them. It's just been so long since I've watched many of his westerns.
Yeah, that's where I was too. So it was like I was watching all these movies for the first time, kind of again.
Yeah, right.
Chris Penn in this one.
A very young Chris Penn. Oh my gosh!
Mm-hmm.
Before he put all that weight on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I almost forgot he was in that. But there you go. That's mine.
Number 3.
All right.
Excellent.
See, I don't know. Like, I wasn't a big fan of westerns back in the day, especially like you guys said, like 70s and stuff. I don't know. I wasn't around in the 70s, and then 80s it was all Turtles movies and shit. And then but I went back and like went through all his shit, and I'm gonna say number 3 is the 1990s The Rookie with him and Charlie Sheen.
Charlie Sheen. I haven't seen that one in a minute either.
Yeah, it was fun. Like, it was pretty goofy. Like, he's just a straight up cop. His fucking partner gets killed, and he tries to hunt down the dude, the bad villain drug guy, which was Raul Julia.
Mm-hmm.
I'll go back and watch that one again.
It's pretty good. Tom Skerritt's in it as well. He plays Charlie Sheen's dad.
How many movies has Clint Eastwood done?
A shitload.
Well, not finished with the question. But it's like, how many movies has he done where it's like Partner gets killed. He has to go avenge them.
That's his MO.
But I never get tired of seeing it.
I mean, how many times has Liam
that's
Neeson
true.
lost his daughter and his wife?
Everyone kidnapping Liam Neeson's kids.
It's a horrible example. Those movies are not that great.
No, but this movie was fun. Like Charlie Sheen, like he was young back then. I mean, I'm not exactly sure how old he would have been back then, but just going back and watching it and seeing him, it's like, what the hell? Like, he wasn't that crazy back then. He was just a cokehead.
1990, he probably would have been like 25, something like that.
Yeah, so he was still a young fuck. It was a fun movie. Clint Eastwood gets seduced by a rather hot chick, and then
Usually.
he's tied down to the chair. Then a bunch of crazy shit happens, as most movies is. Explosions, gunfights, good times.
So it's like Samurai Cop.
I don't know. It could be.
Sounds like.
You know, it just occurred to me what is on your head, Chad. I couldn't figure out. I was like, is he wearing a different rag? What is that? You're wearing a wig. Is it a blonde wig?
It's gray and black.
Oh, okay. All right. Sorry, it threw me off.
It was part of a Geppetto costume.
Motherfucker. You made me laugh.
Here's the mustache.
Oh.
So that's it? You're done talking about The Rookie already?
Yeah.
You guys are very succinct tonight. Now, we didn't preface this with these guys fucking aren't big Western fans. I think they might have mentioned it, but so you're not going to get a lot of them. I'm going to go my number 3 tonight. I'm going to come in hard with motherfucking 1971 Dirty Harry, directed by Don Siegel, starring Clint Eastwood as Dirty Harry Callahan. Man. Fucking the beginning of a fucking franchise. 5 fucking films. There we go. Chuck's holding up old Dirty Harry DVD. Yeah, this was the first of the 5. You had Magnum Force after that, Enforcer, Sudden Impact, and the Deadpool. It was pretty much the catalyst for the 70s and these revenge vengeance films. It really kind of set the tone, with its popularity and everything like that, and how well it did in the theaters, for everybody else to start really taking over that genre, and all kinds. After that, all kinds of shit came out. Yeah, I mean, that same year you had Billy Jack come out with Tom Laughlin. You had the Death Wish franchise afterwards. A few years later, 70s, you had the I Spit on Your Grave franchise. It's a recurring theme in the 70s where, you had this character that was out for revenge, and everybody fucking loved that. And they still love it today. But that was especially big because they hadn't, we'll talk about it more here later on, I'm sure. But in the 60s, it was the end of the Westerns and stuff like that. So everybody was kind of transitioning into these cop roles and everything else. So
it was also, sorry, I'm going to cut you off, but I have to also mention that Harry Callahan also was one of the first. Like, there was a big controversy over the fact that he was just a cop that killed a lot of people. A lot of people bitched about it because he was so violent. It was like, no big deal. Harry just shot about 30 people and walked away after blowing a bunch of shit up, smashing glass and things like that.
Well, that was kind of accurate because, he was playing an inspector in the San Francisco Police Department, and there was a lot of, police brutality back then. I mean, police brutality is still a thing today, but even more so back then, you didn't really see it on the silver screen. So, when you watch it today, by today's standards, definitely not PC. But you can't look at it that way. You got to look at it, it's a 1971 flick. And it's a sign of the time. Back then, that's how they talked. That's how they acted. You might not like it, but that's how it was. So it was one of those things. The film inspired by the Zodiac killings out west. Obviously, the main antagonist, if you will, what's his name? Andrew Robinson.
Robinson.
Yeah, he plays the Scorpio killer. He was in Hellraiser too, and I think Child's Play 3, something like that. But I think that was his debut role as a Scorpio killer. And, like I said, based on the Zodiac killer. And he did a good job as a maniac,
Oh, there's like I said, it's my number one. I mean, there's just something about it because like he's just so fucking cool. Like he's like that guy. Like I remember watching him when I was a kid, and I was like, this guy's like how you want to fucking be. Women love him. Guys hate to fucking argue with him. Like he just he's a smart ass, but he's hilarious. Like nothing really phases him.
Right.
At the beginning of the movie, there's like one of my favorite scenes where he goes in and he like orders a hot dog or whatever at the diner, and he notices that there's a car that's still running in front of the bank across the street, and he's like, it's like, God damn it, all he wants to do is eat this fucking hot dog, whatever it was. And after bank robbery ensues and gunshots and all this shit or whatever, and there's that guy laying on the road, like on the side of the road after I think a car smashed or he got shot or whatever the hell. He's laying on the road or on a step or something.
Yep.
And Harry walks up to him and he has the gun to him and he's like, did he fire all 6 shots, 25, all that shit. And he walks away and the guy's like, I got to know. And he just comes over and just click and just grin, like has that side twisted grin that he has. Dude, that's just a great scene. Like it just kind of like that scene right there explains the rest of the movie of how he's going to be, and it's awesome. I love every single one of those movies. And Dirty Harry, you can't beat the first one.
And of course, the iconic line from that scene, you got to ask yourself a question: do I feel lucky? Well,
Into that.
Do you, punk? What'd you say?
You didn't say that.
Yeah.
No. Right there, he didn't.
Yeah, you did.
No, we didn't.
All right. What is that noise?
I don't know.
What's going on over there? I hear a lot of buzzing.
Yeah, I do too.
Is that the scene that he says that? Because I thought there was a whole thing where he doesn't say it in that movie and he says it in The Enforcer.
No. He's okay. So the misconception is everybody's like, the line is, do you feel lucky, punk? Well, do you? But it's not because he asked the guy the question, do I feel lucky? Well, do you, punk? And he's posing the question to the criminal. So he says it to that guy after the bank robbery, and he also says it to the Scorpio killer whenever he shoots him. Oh.
Well, I remember him saying at the end of it, yeah. But I thought he only said it once. I didn't think he said it to the guy at the beginning of the movie. I thought he just said you got to ask yourself a question. Did you fire all 6 shots or only 5?
Yeah, he says
But that's not what you just said. He says though at the beginning of it.
Hmm? No, he says
he doesn't ask him if he feels lucky, punk, at the beginning of that movie.
Yeah,
he says that later on. He doesn't say at the beginning. At the beginning, he asks the guy if he's shot 6 times or 5 times.
All right. Agreed to
I
disagree.
mean, whatever. I mean, I will look into it here in a little while. Whatever. It's a great fucking movie. That's all that matters.
It's true. And like I said, it set up the whole fucking franchise. 5 fucking films. That's how popular it was. People love this. Very controversial for this day and age. Made the .44 caliber revolver
Most
popular again.
Blow your head clean off.
I used to have a Dirty Harry Zippo, and I just had him holding the gun.
That's awesome. I wish I had that.
I got it at a fucking ring toss joint at the fair.
But yeah, iconic role for Eastwood, and it's a transitional film where he's moving out of the western. I mean, he still did westerns, but he's moving towards a different line of film. He's getting older now, so he's doing a little bit of something different. And like I said, it's the 70s, and things were changing. So Eastwood was changing with him, and this fucking film, he just schools it completely.
Could have must have seen that one.
What is going on, man?
I don't know.
What?
I haven't seen sound issues. That was my number one too, actually.
Oh, you dirty Harrys.
Dirty Harry.
All right,
I mean,
keep going. What do you think of it, Dave? I mean, obviously, it's a fucking masterpiece.
I thought they had the good villain in Scorpio. He was a fucking nutbag. He was a real threat shooting kids. Yeah, the part with the hot dog I liked. And just the part when he's driving by in the train and Clint Eastwood is just standing there.
When he's standing up on the bridge.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he looks up and he sees him and he's like, holy shit, he fucking shits his pants right there. And I think Eastwood did that stunt where he jumped down on the bus. That's what I heard. He did that stunt himself.
Well, I guess that was in his younger days.
Mm,
Well, no, I'll have to go back through and go through.
71, he was 30s, somewhere there. So, a little bit younger.
Yeah, because I don't remember the sequels at all. I'll have to go back through them.
Really,
I mean,
the Enforcer's pretty damn good.
Yeah, a lot of people say
Mad
the Force is
Enforcer.
actually the best one.
I mean, I love Dirty Harry. You can't beat the original, in my opinion.
I think Enforcer has the highest body count too.
Yeah, that one was interesting. Yeah, isn't
More killing.
the guy that was in Superman 4 in that?
Maybe.
Wasn't he one of the? Because that's the one with where the people were like in like a UPS truck at the beginning of it.
Right.
Right. So I get that one and Magnum Force confused sometimes. Is that the one with the people or whatever? Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
I think the blonde guy. I could be wrong. I know he was in something else, but I'm pretty sure I thought he was the guy that was in Superman 4. Destroy Superman. I could be wrong about that one. I don't know. He looks very similar if it's not him.
I don't remember Superman 4. I think I might be saying that.
As a kid, I loved that one.
All right. Are we on, Chuck?
Chuck still has to reveal number 3.
Oh, that's right. No.
Humming is distracting me.
It sounds like some kind of weird music going on, like we're all meditating.
We're at the spa right now.
Yeah, we're all huffing gas over here.
You are like the buzzing of flies to him.
So my number 3 is kind of a weird one, but there's a lot of reasons for why it's my number 3. I had some issues trying to figure out which one I wanted to pick for my number 3, but I always liked In the Line of Fire.
See, I almost said that for my number 3.
It's a good one because, like, to me, it's almost like he still kind of takes on the Dirty Harry, mindset a little bit, And also, like, as a kid, I was always really into presidents. I was always really interested, like, in history as a kid, like when I was like real little. And I was always big into the presidents who were shot. If they were assassinated, I was looking up about them because I wanted to know why they needed to die. Like, that kind of weird shit as a kid. And I always found it interesting that John Malkovich, who plays the assassin, because what this movie is basically, Clint Eastwood is a Secret Service agent that was a part of the Kennedy bodyguards Secret Service shit, and he was there when Kennedy was shot. He fucked up. He didn't act when he was supposed to, and he kind of like felt guilt about it his whole life. He's got this other president that this other guy really doesn't like and wants to kill him, and it's John Malkovich, and he just basically terrorizes him left and right, making sure he knows that he's being watched. And he uses a gun that he makes himself in it, so it can't be detected by like metal detectors and all that stuff. And it's very similar to the gun.
Yep.
Yeah, and it's very similar to the gun that was used to kill William McKinley, because he had a kind of a handmade kind of contraption in his sleeve when he shot him, because he had him in his arm in a sling and a cast. And that was the end of him. But yeah, this is one number 3. This is a good one. I mean, it really is. I mean, it's 2 hours long. It's kind of a slow burn at times, but Clint Eastwood is such a damn good actor that like it doesn't really matter. I mean, like it's just fun to watch him act. You know what I mean? Although I do say this, like I've like you don't hear the word "fuck" used for the first like hour and 15 minutes of this movie, and then after the hour and 15-minute point or whatever the fuck it is, you hear "fuck" used 4 times, and Clint Eastwood's the one that says it all 4 times, like back to back, like
Fuck yeah.
motherfucker.
Yeah, I do kind of remember that one actually.
Yeah.
Is that the one where the dude had the one gun made out of wood, too?
It was a
It was like a plastic.
It was like a plastic. Yeah.
It's been a while.
I remember seeing that for the first time, and I was like, "Oh, that's fucking pretty smart."
Right.
Pretty smart.
Well, when John Malkovich is testing the gun out, he's at a little lake, and he's shooting this little toy boat, and these hunters come over and they're like, "Oh, that's an amazing, can we try it, whatever." And the guy ends up, he shoots a duck, and they're like, "Oh man, I want to buy that, blah blah blah." And he's like, "No, you can't. I'm going to use it to kill the president." He's like, "Why would you do that for?" And he goes, "Well, why did you kill that duck, you piece of shit," or whatever the hell he said to him. And then he pow pow and just sits there and just chills out. I mean, there's a lot of good actors in this movie. John Malkovich, Clint Eastwood. What's her fucking name?
Renee Russo.
Yeah, and also old dude that was in Law and Order or whatever. He was a real judge in real life, and then ended up being an actor. I can't remember his damn name. But he plays the head of security or whatever for the president in this one, and he's an uber dickhead in this one. But it's always fun to see Clint Eastwood go head to head with somebody in the movie.
Dylan McDermott, Gary Cole.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, Dylan. Yeah, very young Dylan McDermott.
Oh yeah.
Spoiler alert. I hate the fact that he dies in that movie. Like it think about the shit this dude has to like put up with. Like he has guilt because he feels like he could have done more to save the president. And then like his partner's scared to death of his job, and he's like, "I want to resign. I'm done with this." Blah blah. And Clint Eastwood is like, "I need you. You got to stay on. Like, da da da. You're a good agent. All this stuff." And he talks him into it, and then the next day, he gets fucking shot right in the head.
Yep.
And it's like, damn, you just wanted to like live the family life. What the fuck? And then Clint Eastwood's character just like stared and was just like, there's some things about this movie that like they're kind of irritating because I'm like, that doesn't make any sense. But I still love this movie. There's a lot of good reasons for it. I mean, it's a fun one. It's a good little thriller. People who are fans of like, I don't know, Michael Crichton or some shit or whatever, probably dig this movie. But it also years ago when I was a little kid, it was a buddy of mine. There was only like so many movies in his house. He lived out in the fucking country and stuff, and it was random movies like Pet Sematary and Breakfast Club and In the Line of Fire and just shit like that. And so like it's got a lot of nostalgic value as well. And that friend of mine is no longer with us, so it's kind of nice to rewatch it sometimes, So yeah, there's my number 3.
It was close to being mine, like I said, but I didn't go back to watch it, so I did not pick it.
I like how everybody's picking something different too.
Yeah,
I think we're gonna.
same page.
Yeah. Usually we cross the streams, but
Yeah, well, I mean, Dirty Harry kind of was kind of obvious.
Yeah,
Well, I mean, I gotta be honest though, because it was either this one or Play Misty for me, and I hadn't watched Play Misty for me in a long time, and I went back and watched it yesterday. It's still a good movie. It's a good thriller, whatever. But I'm at a point in my life where I'm done with psycho, crazy women and watching a fucking movie for an hour and 40 minutes about a psycho, crazy woman. Hey, I'm not putting it on the fucking list. Great acting, good job.
That's the.
I'm done with psycho women. I almost had to turn it off, and I was like, it's really kind of,
what are you gonna say, Chad?
So that was the first movie he directed.
Yeah.
And he went on to do it many, many times since. He's still doing it today.
Yeah, have you all seen that? Have you all seen that movie?
I've seen
What
bits
I
and
missed
pieces
it.
of it, but I've never seen the whole thing.
I haven't seen it in a long time.
It's a good thriller, but like I said, it's just. I was like, oh, like this would be something I haven't seen in forever, whatever. And I put it on, and I'm watching it, and I'm just like, oh, she's a nutbag. Do not let her make that steak for you. What are you doing? Kick her the fuck out. What are you doing? And just one thing after another, I'm just wanting to smack Clint Eastwood in the head this whole fucking movie. It's a good one, but I'm just so done with.
Cuckoo.
Well, it's always been kind of like a type of mine, right? You get the crazy girl, over and over again, and then you finally realize that you hate your type. They've done nothing but for anything good for you whatsoever. Yeah. So watching this movie made me even more realize I'm done with that shit. So I was not gonna put it on.
It was a
Same
friendly
year he
reminder.
did. Same year he did Dirty Harry, both in '71.
What?
I said that was the same year he did Dirty Harry. They both came out in '71. That and Blade
Really?
Missed for Me, and The Beguiled. He was busy that year.
Yeah.
How you doing over there, Chuck?
Do what?
How you doing over there? That feed. Everything good?
I'm good.
Okay. It keeps cutting a little bit.
Oh, am I?
Chuck. Yeah.
Mikey's just
At least on mine.
Might be
Chuck's got a weather issue going on outside his place, so
Am I freezing up or something?
every once in a while, not constant.
Dave, Chad, have you seen that too?
I might have spaced out and missed it.
I noticed Mike did a couple times.
Yeah, we'll be all right. We'll keep trucking. So we're on number 2, right?
That's
Number
right.
2. I went with, and I remember this one when it came out, because everybody was fucking talking about it. The greatest Western of all time, maybe. I went with Unforgiven. So it was my first time seeing this too, believe it or not.
Guess
I
what?
believe
Guess what, Dave? You're a straight shooter, and that's my number 2 too.
Oh, we got
Oh.
a threefer. A threefer.
Oh, we haven't had that in a long time.
God damn, I like it.
And I
Go ahead.
definitely like Gene Hackman as the bad guy.
God damn, good shit.
Good.
Directed by Eastwood himself, starring Clint Eastwood.
And they
Along
say
with-
it's kind of a bookend on his Western career, I guess.
Yeah, I think he said that was his last Western he was going to do. Said,
Goddamn. Went out with a bang, didn't he?
Yeah, a damn good fucking movie.
It is a good movie.
Yeah.
starring,
The one that I thought was kind of funny about it was the fact that in this, like in all his movies, he knows how to use a pistol. In this one, he has issues with the pistol, and the shotgun is what he ends up using.
Yeah.
I was kind of funny.
It's taken the main character from any of his other older movies and fast forward 20, 30 years into the future.
Yeah.
And ask, how would he handle all the people that he's killed?
so
It seems like he regrets it.
So for the uninitiated, 1992, Unforgiven, produced, directed, starring Clint Eastwood, also starring Gene Hackman, Morgan Freeman. Eastwood plays a former outlaw, William Money. He's like retired, more or less. He's
Do you want me to
given
read the
up-
back of the box?
You can.
Eastwood and Morgan Freeman play retired down on their luck outlaws who pick up their guns one last time to collect the bounty offered by the vengeful prostitutes of the remote Wyoming town of Big Whiskey. Richard Harris is an ill-fated interloper, a colorful killer for hire called English Bob, and Best Supporting Actor winner Gene Hackman is the sly and brutal local sheriff whose brand of law enforcement ranges from unconventional to ruthless. Big Trouble is coming to Big Whiskey, and Unforgiven is a Western for the ages.
So there you have it. But yeah, Eastwood, no longer an outlaw. He's a widower. He's got his kids. He's got a failing pig farm. Realizes that he needs money, and this kid shows up and explains how there was these guys who kind of mutilated a prostitute, and there's a bounty out on him. So his character, Clint Eastwood's character, decides that he's gonna one more time go back to being a killer or a bounty hunter and track these guys down to get the bounty to have some money for his children for their future. And like we said, it's kind of a reflective piece. It goes with his career, where as his younger years he was doing all these action westerns and everything like that, and now he's much older, and it shows that he at the beginning he doesn't know how to shoot a gun. He doesn't know really how to get on a horse anymore. He's very unsure of himself and about getting back into this lifestyle, but he wants to do it for his children. And he teams up with his old partner, Ned, who's played by Morgan Freeman, and they go and try to track down these guys to get the bounty. Gene Hackman's the sheriff of this town, and he's kind of he's not an evil sheriff by any means, but he's kind of a hard ass, and he tries to do things his own way. And in my opinion, Hackman kind of steals the show. As well as Eastwood and Freeman do in this film, Hackman really stands out for me. His character of Little Bill, just all the different scenes that he's in, he really stands out more so. That character kind of evolves a lot more. You get a lot more out of that character than you do the Money character or the Ned character. So I always said Hackman stood out for me in this one.
Hackman is pretty badass in this one. Hackman is a badass anyway, though.
For sure.
I mean, did you all see Birdcage?
Yep. There you go.
French Connection. I'm just kidding. French Connection. Hey, Birdcage is funny, but yeah, French Connection and shit like that. I mean, he's Lex Luthor.
Right. Right. And this wasn't his first rodeo as far as westerns go. He did like The Hunting Party, Bite the Bullet, back in the 70s, stuff like that. And then, of course, my favorite western that he was in is The Quick and the Dead, which I'm sure we'll get to one day. Oh, such a fucking good flick, man.
I didn't look and watch that one.
Oh my gosh, that was
a couple times.
Definitely.
I'm gonna go ahead and do this real quick. All right, I stand corrected, Michael. Because I'm looking at a script right here. Okay. And the entire thing that he says in it, and this is why it fucked me up. He's like, I know what you're thinking. Did he fire 6 shots or only 5? Well, to say the truth, and all the excitement, I'm kind of lost track myself. But being this is a 44 Magnum, the most powerful handgun in the world, that would blow your head clean off. You got to ask yourself one question: do I feel lucky, or do you, punk? So there you go.
That's all right. Shit happens. No big deal. We're not fucking Tarantino over here, where we got fucking the whole movie empire memorized.
He's got fucking.
But we should. That's the problem.
We should. Holy fuck! I'm not.
We should.
I'm not gonna get on that level ever.
I don't have that many brain cells left, so I'm saying.
Yeah, I'm an old ass motherfucker now, so it's like, I struggle. I got my notes over here sometimes that I gotta look at because I don't remember so well.
I remember a lot, but there's also a lot don't.
That's a lot. The movie universe is quite expansive.
Yeah.
There's like a couple hundred movies. I'm kidding.
There's probably at least 500 by now.
Well, there's 500. Maybe 6.
So yeah. Any other further comments on The Unforgiven? Unforgiven.
No, except for the fact that it is, in my opinion, probably one of the best westerns that have been out, in 50 years.
Yeah.
Sure.
It's just so damn good. It really is.
Tombstone and Unforgiven are the best.
That's kind of how I feel about it. And Young Guns. But
That's what I was going to say. The stuff that I remember,
I never really got big into the early Western shit, but then that movie and then Young Guns and Quick and the Dead and shit.
yeah.
Yeah, especially for people our age, because it was lot of the shit we saw, like Young Guns and Tombstone, Unforgiven, all that stuff was when we were coming up. You know, we hadn't been around in the 60s and 70s for prime time with old Clint Eastwood. But
I mean, I used to when I was a kid, my family we would go over to some other people who were pretty much family to us. We did it every year, every Thanksgiving, and like TBS or TNT1 would always play Clint Eastwood movies like from morning till dawn, and or morning till night, whatever the fuck.
that's
well, they'd play them like all day long. Or, I mean, it was all week. Like I don't remember, but they'd play them like all day out of that much. And that's where I picked up watching a lot of the westerns, because they would start with all the western films, and then they would go into like the Dirty Harry movies and all that stuff. And that's how I got, like, I would watch it one year, and then because I would watch the whole fucking thing, and then I got to Dirty Harry, realized that I loved it more than any of them. So I knew to make sure to stay up as long as I possibly could to watch the Dirty Harry movies later on that night. Because, like, Outlaw Josie Wells, Good, Bad, and the Ugly, all that shit, Two Mules for Sister Sarah, I'm playing, all those shit. Yeah, they're all classics. They're all good stuff. You know what I mean? I just haven't seen them in forever, because I'm pretty sure if I would have had the time to go back and rewatch some of the westerns, because man, I almost wanted to put the Outlaw Josie Wells, because that one, as a kid, I remember like really loving that one a lot. And the Good, the Bad, the Ugly.
That's good flip.
I honestly, like, I can't really think of one that I didn't like as a kid. Clint Eastwood's another one of those. He's a man's man. Like, you're like, gee, I want to be like that guy. Gets rid of the bad guy, gets the woman. Hey, bada bing, bada boom. And
we'll never see an actor like that again.
But he's still doing shit.
Yep. In his 90s, he will retire.
Hey,
he'll be 90.
Did Cry Macho a few years back. I still haven't seen it yet.
I haven't seen that one.
What was the other one before that? Gran Torino?
Gran Torino was one of his later ones. Yep.
That was a good one. I really like that. I was actually struck. There was another one I was worried. Not worried about. There was another one I was trying to figure out if I wanted to put as my number 3, because that one was really good too. It was one of those films that, from the way the trailer looked and how they kind of perceived it, as you're like, oh, it's Clint Eastwood getting back to being a badass again, and now he's old, so it's going to be even better. And he was a badass in it. He was also an asshole. It wasn't what you were kind of expecting, but you understood things as the movie went on. And it wasn't a shoot 'em up, movie at all. But that last little bit of that fucking movie, just like, oh, you motherfucker! Like that was not what I wanted. You're supposed to go in guns a-blazing with a cigarette dangling out of your mouth. Okay, kill them all. And that was not what I got when I watched when I was in the theater and saw it. I was like you heard everybody in the fucking theater go, oh, like as soon as it's like, well, at least he was doing it for a good cause that nobody else was seeing in the movie, from the beginning of it. Damn good movie.
Yeah, and it's like you said, he's kind of an anti-hero, and that seems to be a recurring theme in his later films. He played kind of a hero early on, and then kind of moved towards the anti-hero. Well,
I mean, even Dirty Harry was an anti-hero.
Sure, sure.
He didn't play by the book. He, had his own fucking like list of rules that he lived by, which was not many, and so he was an anti-hero too. But as he got, as time went on, that's just kind of like, that's just how he was.
Especially in Unforgiven, like we're talking about, it's a very slow paced film if you haven't seen it, and it's like I said, it's kind of a reflective piece. More so, it's not about the old films that he did or the old westerns that you would remember where it's filled with action. This is more of a reflective piece. The kind of, he's older now. He's reflecting on his life and what he did, and kind of the consequences of either killing somebody or not killing somebody, and what happens either way, whatever you choose. So makes you think, and like I said, reflective piece. Very good flick.
Definitely.
Chad, what's your number 2?
My number 2 Heartbreak Ridge,
Okay.
1986 classic.
Never seen that one.
It's
I don't
fucking
think I
good.
ever have either.
It's fucking good. Takes place like with the Marine Corps. Clint Eastwood plays a gunnery sergeant. What's the fuck? Thomas Highway, and they're trying to I guess he's the guy that saw a lot of crazy shit, and he doesn't really take any shit. Like he's just straight up military guy, no fun and games, just straight shooter. Like once everything just dry, and then fucking he's trying to go back to his actual base that he started from at Cherry Point, and then he gets back there and he gets put in charge of a bunch of like a misfit type platoon. Like they don't really fucking listen. They do their own thing. They don't really have a sergeant in line. Like they're just a free company. And then Mario Van Peebles is a wannabe rock and roll guy. So he's just like the super misfit of the group. And he's always out playing clubs and shit. And then whenever Clint gets back into town, he actually sees him out performing one night, and he's just like, what the fuck? He's like, what's this guy doing? Like he has long, kind of like a Jerry curl thing going on, like earrings and stuff. And then he in the very beginning though, whenever Clint's actually traveling to go to this base, he's actually on a train, or not a train, but a bus with Mario Van Peebles, and he's traveling to go back to the base or whatever. And then Mario ends up robbing him at a diner and making him pick up the tab and takes his bus ticket and everything and just dips on him. So then he once he actually gets to the base and he's in the barracks, he's in there giving all the soldiers a bunch of shit because they're all just hanging out in shorts and t-shirts, fucking off, not doing anything. And he's in there busting balls and shit, trying to get everybody straightened out. And then Mario Van Peebles is walking in, and then he's just like, fuck. So from the jump, them two are going to clash, and they do the whole movie. But then the one major that's in the movie is Everett McGill, and he puts Clint in charge of that because they're trying to get him divorced out and so he retire. So then the guy that the major has never seen combat. He's seen minimal action period, and he's just always up Clint's ass for no reason. And then they have a bunch of war games and everything, and Clint finally whips him up into shape, of course. So then they end up winning the war games and everything. It's a pretty dope movie. I think it's maybe the second time I've ever seen it. I just watched it a week ago. I just remember hearing Detective Lassiter talk about it a lot on Psych. So I was like, we'll check it out. And I was like, fuck yeah, this movie's dope. It's really good.
I don't think I've ever seen that one.
Yeah, it's really good.
I remember hearing about the Marines were fucking pissed off about that film because they initially, because it was a Clint Eastwood movie, they were all on board with it. And they were going to use it to help promote some kind of campaign or whatever. And then whenever it came out and they saw the preview of it and they saw the language and how he treated people and everything like that.
Oh, yeah, he's an artist.
Yeah, they were like, that's not the way it is. And this isn't portraying us in a good light. So they kind of disowned the film after the fact.
He has Full Metal Jacket almost on everybody.
Yeah.
He's just a straight, no fun. This is the military. It's not time for fun and games. Get your shit straight.
Kind of like Major Payne.
Yeah. That's pretty much all it really was. I swear, Major Payne's probably the comedy version.
I'm sorry, do you want your mama? God, I hate that movie. Jesus Christ.
I love it.
That's two Damon Wayans references tonight. We might have to do a Damon Wayans episode.
I might have to be sick that night.
Homie, don't play that.
Blank Man.
Oh, God.
Come on.
I haven't seen that in a long time.
What's wrong with Damon Wayans? I mean, he's kind of an asshole, but I mean, he's done good he's done good stuff, man.
He's annoying as shit. He ignores the fuck out of me. I hate that whole that whole voice he does. Shut the fuck up. Seriously, my wife and kids and all that shit. What a fucking douche. No.
He was.
No. Voice Scout my shit.
He was always my favorite out of the Wayans brothers.
I don't like any of them.
I was real big on Sean or Marlon, but Damon and Keenan Ivory. I was always a big In Living Color fan. I grew up with that shit.
Oh, I mean, me too. I liked In Living Color as well. And I was also a fan of I'm Gonna Get You, Sucker.
Oh, there you go.
And then I got older and I tried to watch it again. And I was like, nope. Like, this is stupid. And then they came out with scary movies, and I was like, oh, this is why I hate this shit. It's not funny. It's annoying.
It's kind of funny.
I'm simple, so I thought it was hilarious. Like White Chicks is my favorite shit.
I fucking hate that movie. God. My fucking ex loved that movie, and she made me watch it. I'm like, they're fucking terrifying looking.
They are. But
They don't look like chicks. Any of those guys in real life, any guy in real life can actually look at them and be like, oh, yeah. Oh. No, they look fucking weird. They're fucking scary looking. There's nothing attractive about them at all as women. No. I'm going to bite my tongue. I'm going to bite my tongue because there's so many jokes I could make that reference these days, and I'm not going to.
I have blue glitter everywhere.
from the hat. Let's just preface that because people are going to be like, "What? What the hell's blue glitter about?"
I came in at the time.
That's other kind of gay. Anyway, I'm going to go to the bathroom. I'll be back.
All right, we'll move on to the number ones while Chuck's doing his number one. I don't know.
Number one.
He's taking a number one.
Well, I said earlier my number one was Dirty Harry. Because whenever I think Clint Eastwood, that's who I picture. I picture Dirty Harry in the suit, holding the pistol, asking if he feels lucky.
Well,
or whatever the line was that we decided.
Hey, old Grump.
You got to ask yourself a question. Do I feel lucky? Well, do you, punk?
On a budget of $4 billion, it brought in $36 million and spawned how many sequels? 5? 4 or 5?
There's 5 movies total, so 4 sequels.
Craziness.
See, I was always a Death Wish guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I said, very similar. This kind of set it all off for that revenge genre. And very similar. Him and Charles Bronson have had very similar careers. Bronson was in a lot of the Western stuff around the same time he was. I think he was even supposed to be in some of the films with Eastwood, and he ended up not getting able to because he was doing Dirty Dozen at the time, and then after the fact, there was a role that Sergio Leone wanted Eastwood to play, and ended up going to Charles Bronson. So I'm sure we'll talk about that here shortly.
Man, so did they ever do a movie together?
I was going to say they should have did a crossover.
With Charles Bronson and Clint Eastwood?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
They should have did a crossover.
I don't think so.
Called it Dirty Wish.
Man, that would have been
Dirty Wish.
Sweet.
Death Harry. Death the Smoochie.
So yeah, so I think I might know what your number one is.
You do have blue glitter everywhere.
I know, it's all over the place.
I think they were on a fucking Rawhide or something shit together, but they never did a film together.
Oh really? I didn't know Bronson was a Rawhide.
Rawhide.
I think some other there's a lot of good Clint Eastwood movies. Bloodwork. Fucking Escape from Alcatraz.
Oh,
that one movie with the monkeys.
Yeah, that's about.
Any which way but loose.
Hey, we're the
it was
monkeys.
funny. I remember watching that a lot when I was a kid.
All right,
Yeah,
Chad,
me too.
what's your number one?
Number one, a
Punk.
movie I grew up watching all the time. Escape from Alcatraz.
There you go, segue.
Love that fucking movie.
It's a good one.
Fucking, I don't remember if it ever really says why he got sent there. I know he broke out of multiple prisons, so they just kind of threw him in there because he couldn't escape from that one. But he played Frank Morris, and he goes to Alcatraz, and then later while he's there, and he starts making a few friends or whatever, and plus one big enemy who tries to kill him numerous times. And then his old buddy Fred Ward gets sent to Alcatraz, and then that's whenever they kind of decide they need to escape. So then he starts picking around at his jail cell, and he finds the weak spot around the grate in his cell. So then he gets a nail file, like some nail clippers, and starts digging around to escape. And then once he realizes the plan should work, he lets everybody else know, like his buddy Fred, and then his like the guy that lives next to him, his neighbor, and then a new guy gets brought in to Alcatraz, Charlie Butts, who is Larry Hankin. He gets moved next to Clint Eastwood, and Clint kind of gives him the tips so he doesn't get in trouble. Then they help each other out, and they like watch shifts while one digs, one watches, and then they do that until they get clear enough to escape.
How do you not become a criminal with the last name Butts? I mean, you almost have to like be a badass, or you're screwed.
I'm Charlie.
Charlie Butts.
Charlie Butts.
Well, it's funny because the one guy's like, "What? Your name's Butt Liquor?" And then he's like, "Who are you?" And he's like, "I'm Al Capone." And he's like, "I thought you were dead." He's like, "I have too much money to die." But like, they all work in different parts of the prison. And then, so like the one dude works in the barber shop, so he starts getting hair because they end up making like plaster molds of their heads, which they do a freaking amazing job somehow using just fucking cardboard and magazines and this, that, and the other thing. And then they fucking paint them all up. And then eventually they're planning on escaping one day, like a couple of days, but they end up leaving earlier because the one dude that was trying to kill Clint Eastwood gets out of the hole. So then he's pretty much telling Clint he's going to be dead by morning. And then he didn't even know, but they were going to move Clint Eastwood to a different cell. So luckily they left that night. So it was just kind of like good timing that guy came out of solitaire, or else fucking Eastwood would have had to dig another hole and made another fucking escapable prison cell. I mean, I used to watch this with my grandfather way back in the day. And then
I watched with my dad.
I've seen this movie so many times. Like every time it was on TV, I'd always watch it. It's kind of like, I don't know. I guess I've always had a thing for prison movies because I always liked that and fucking Shawshank. Like, it's pretty much kind of the same deal there. But yeah, like Fred Ward cracks me up because you always forget like how many movies he's been into, but he's been in a shitload of stuff.
Yeah.
Who he is, like he's the dude that co-starred Kevin Bacon in Tremors. It's one of his bigger roles, but he's been in a lot of fucking movies. And then so has Larry Hankin, the guy that plays Charlie Butts. And actually, whenever I was looking up some shit on his movie stuff, he actually did a podcast with a couple friends of Aaron's on Hard with Sir Sturdy from the Scene Snobs podcast. He was on there talking about a bunch of the movies and stuff. That's cool. Yeah, so whenever I found that out, I was kind of shocked. And then the one dude, Robert Blossom, he plays a guy named Doc, and he's like a painter. And then he actually paints a portrait of the warden, and the warden takes his paintings away. So whenever they go into the shop the one day, fucking he's just mad because all he has in the world is his painting. So he takes a fucking hatchet and chops his fingers off. And then after that, that's whenever Clint decides, like, this warden's a super prick. I'm getting the fuck out of here.
Super prick.
That's about the gist of that movie. It's fucking great, though.
It's a good one. It's a classic. For sure.
Good flick. Another movie he did with Don Siegel directing, based on true events. You know,
right.
Fucking those characters. What's his name? Frank Harris.
Frank John Anglin, and I think his brother's name was
Clarence Anglin. Yeah.
Yeah.
Those were the three guys that allegedly escaped from Alcatraz back in like 1962. And I went to Alcatraz whenever I visited San Francisco, and
I want to go there.
oh, dude, it's very cool. It's one of those places I always say there's very few places that I go and it's this surreal feeling where you're like, holy shit. And Alcatraz is one of them. The other place was down in Dallas at Dealey Plaza where Kennedy was assassinated. Because, you know, there's just so many places that you hear about when you're younger, and you hear about it all the time. And it just kind of builds this the thing in your head where this place is kind of holy, or, you know, holier than thou, because something very historic happened there. And then when you actually go there and you're like in it, experiencing it, it's so surreal.
Well, it's like I was. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
I've watched. I always watch like location videos or something like that. And it's like I was watching a couple the other day where people were visiting Auschwitz. They were visiting that, and they were going through, and they couldn't film everything, but like, I don't know, like that to me would just be like, because honestly, it got me all kind of like choked up because I'm just like, you look at all these places where all this stuff happened, you know, like, it's just kind of like, that's fucking nuts. Like to go to a place like that, knowing that like real tragedy happened in this one spot or whatever the fuck, it's just kind of crazy. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's weird.
Yeah, it's like going to any of these like haunted places or anything like this. There's energy there. You know, sometimes you can't really explain it. You can't put your finger on what it is or whatever, but you feel it.
Yeah.
And you could definitely get that whenever you're in Alcatraz. You know, you could see if you ever go there, the cells were very small, and they actually have the cell with the hole in the wall still showing how they escaped. So nobody, you know, according to the story, nobody knows if they really escaped or they end up dying in the bay. But you know, it's one of those ones that got immortalized in film. You know.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't know if there was actually a fourth guy in the plan, like in real life, but I know, like in the movie, Charlie's supposed to end up going with him too. But then he like kind of freaks out and he can't get his fucking like plate cover back off because he used contact cement to get it on there. And then once they're all fucking pretty much gone, he tries to escape and then he just gets stuck. So then, like by like the time they find out they escape, whenever they're doing the head counts in the morning, he's just standing there looking all fucking butthurt because he's just like, man, I'm fucked up.
Fucked up, man.
I'm stuck in this fucking hole still.
Could
That'd be a shitty fucking situation.
Yeah. It was fucking dope movie, though.
Hell yeah. All right. My number one. It was tough, but not too tough. 1967. Motherfucking The Good, The Bad, and The Ugly. Directed by Sergio Leone. The last of the Dollars trilogy started with Fistful of Dollars, a few dollars more, and then the third film, Good and Bad and the Ugly. It's actually the first in the series. If you go back and watch it, you're supposed to watch it kind of in reverse order, because the Good, Bad, and the Ugly takes place during the Civil War, and then the two other films are after. So chronologically, you watch them in reverse order, but they all came out in 67 at different times. All three movies came out in 67 in the United States. They'd come out in like 64 and 65 overseas, but the U.S. didn't get them till 67. One was at the beginning of the year, one in the middle, and one at the end of the year. So you got that whole trilogy in 1 year. So that was pretty dope. But yeah, like I said, probably one of the greatest Westerns of all time, if not the greatest. You know, very debatable, but I think it's one of the best myself. I know it's Quentin Tarantino's favorite film of all time. You can see that the influence of this film in his work so much, especially Reservoir Dogs, because you know there's a scene at the end of Good, Bad, and Ugly where they have a Mexican standoff, and that's shown in the end of Reservoir Dogs with Nice Guy Eddie and his dad and Mr. White. So definitely influenced Tarantino. Clint Eastwood stars. It's a spaghetti western. He's the man with no name, essentially, because they never really give him a name in any of these films.
Yeah.
They give him nicknames. Like in this film, there's another character played by Eli Wallach called Tuco, and he always calls Clint Eastwood's character Blondie. And you know, the Good, the Bad, and the Ugly represents Clint Eastwood is the good, Eli Wallach is the ugly, and then you got Lee Van Cleef as the bad. And three great actors, especially for their time. You know, nowadays, if you said Eli Wallach or Lee Van Cleef to anybody, a lot of people aren't going to know him. You might recognize Lee Van Cleef from Escape from New York. Eli Wallach did a lot of TV after this, but you know, this is one of his biggest roles of all time. You know, he did stuff before that. He did like Magnificent Seven and How the West Was Won, stuff like that. If you go back and watch older westerns, he was a part of that as well. But yeah, Lee Van Cleef's character is the bad, and he's kind of a hired gun that goes out and does these jobs. Ends up finding out about some gold that was taken and hidden by one of these soldiers, or one of these guys pretending to be a soldier. So once he finds out about this, he ends up going out and searching for the gold himself. Clint Eastwood and Eli Wallach's characters are kind of partners in this little thing where Eli Wallach is his character Tuco is a bandit that's wanted. So what they end up doing is basically Clint Eastwood's character turns him in and gets the reward money, and then they go to hang Eli Wallach's character. And right before he's about to hang, Eastwood is in a hidden location, and he shoots the noose, and Eli Wallach's character escapes. So it's kind of a setup that they have, a kind of a scam they're running where they collect the reward money, and then they get away, and they do it from town to town. So it's like, oh, go to this town, we get $2,000 for the reward. He doesn't end up getting hung, and they go to the next town, they collect the money there or whatever. And then eventually, they're not really friends by any means. They're just kind of, partners in this business venture. So they go back and forth where their characters kind of have this love-hate relationship, or not really love, but more of a hate relationship, but they're bonded by certain things. More importantly, money. I think that's the driving factor between both of them. So they end up finding out about the money, as the gold as well, and it all kind of culminates with all three of them searching down this money, trying to find it. And then one of the most iconic scenes in Western history is the Mexican standoff they have at the end. I'm not going to spoil it or anything like that, but this is definitely one of the best Westerns of all time. One of the franchise that kind of set in motion Clint Eastwood's whole career, because Fistful of Dollars was the first one, and it was his first leading role. He had done other stuff, but this was his first leading role, and it was these spaghetti westerns. If you're not familiar with spaghetti western, understand what it is. They're westerns that were filmed over in Europe, mainly Italy, and because Italy is known for spaghetti and everything like that, hence the name spaghetti western. So it made him a worldwide star. These films did, and like I said, it just kind of set him in that trajectory of being a superstar. And with the good, the bad, and the ugly being the penultimate film of the trilogy.
Definitely a classic.
That was like the first franchise or like trilogy or whatever he actually like starred in too, right?
Yeah, like I said, his first starring role was Fistful of Dollars, and that was '64, and it was part of the trilogy. So he did these three films, and then he started going off and doing more major roles afterwards. But yeah, he didn't even want to do this film in the first place. He did the other two films, and then the studio wanted him to do this third film, and he wasn't really interested. And Sergio Leone had to go and kind of convince him. He flew out to L.A., and they ended up getting him at like the last minute because they offered him like $250,000. They offered him like 10% of the take on the film, and they bought him a brand new Ferrari for the time. So that's kind of what got him on board.
Would me too.
Right.
Yeah. Because he hadn't, he didn't really have any kind of bargaining power at that point. He hadn't become a big star yet, but he felt like he was he was the lead for all three of these films, and he felt like he should be getting more.
Yeah.
And they knew how well it did overseas, and they knew with United Artists picking it up and bringing it to the United States that it was going to be a big deal. So he kind of milked it for what he could get, and actually ended up being the last film that he did with Sergio Leone because they didn't get along very well. Leone was a very temperamental director. He would always, if you watch any Sergio Leone's films, he has a very unique directing method, and he does all kinds of different shots. And for the cast, it was very exhaustive because he would do a scene and then he would want to film it from a different perspective, and he would do this over and over again, and the actors would get really frustrated where it'd be like, all right, man, come on, we've done this a million times. So he wasn't a fan favorite with the actors early on, but ended up being the last film he did with him. But he's forever tied to Sergio Leone and this trilogy because of how important they were in film and Western cinema. And even more importantly, one more last thing. I know I'm going on and on, but even more iconic than the film itself might be the score that was done by Ennio. Morricone. Ennio Morricone. One of the great. I can't believe I'm forgetting his name. One of the greatest composers of all time. He's up there, even before John Williams blew up and big. If you go back and listen to the score that Ennio Morricone did for this film, it's everything you would ever know about Westerns. You hear the theme at the beginning with the flute and everything like that, and that's what everybody instantly recognizes for Western film.
Yeah.
That. So it was an amazing score. Even just as iconic as the film itself is the score, and that's what really, stands out. And I don't know, I'm just going on and on, but fucking the score is amazing. The fucking film's amazing. If you've never seen it before, you've got to go and watch this film.
True. I agree.
I'll shut up now.
Well, what was your number one there, Chuck?
Dirty Harry.
Dirty Harry? Okay.
Yeah.
Dirty Harry number one.
Dirty Harry. Oh shit! I'm dropping my cigars. This fucking cigar idea was terrible. I was like, oh, I'm gonna get a cigar and fucking have it. I don't smoke, so now I'm getting all this tobacco in my mouth, and you see me the whole episode. I'm like,
yeah, I know. It's kind of funny.
I'm like, oh, this is fucking terrible. I don't know how you guys smoke this shit.
I don't smoke cigars.
Well, yeah.
Well, whoever smokes cigars. I don't know how fucking Clint Eastwood smoked this shit.
I smoke a lot of cigars, just not a lot of tobacco in them.
Yeah, just tobacco.
Hey, and sometimes if I get a good stogie, I'll get a stogie once in a while. Oh, Winston's are my flavor. It's all stupid.
Oh, stupid.
It's all stupid. Well, except for the weed. Keep smoking weed, but tobacco's dumb.
Smoke weed every day.
Well, there you have it. So I went with Dirty Harry, Unforgiven, and Pale Rider. What were your three? I'll put you on the spot there. My bad.
You already forgot, motherfucker?
Rookie, Heartbreak Ridge, and Escape from Alcatraz.
I had Dirty Harry, Unforgiven, and fucking Good, Bad, and Ugly.
I had In the Line of Fire, Unforgiven, and Dirty Harry.
Yeah! And now we'll end the show as we always do with our random clip of the week. And if you're just joining us, what this is, we pick a random clip from a random movie and see what happens. Let's see what we got on tap this week.
Jimmy the Weasel, Las Vegas PD. Shit, you don't have nothing on me. Hey, Jimmy, I'm just trying to do my job tonight. My name's Alexander Hakamoto. Friends call me Hawk. Fuck you. You're not my friend.
Oh, shit!
They call me something else.
What the fuck was that?
That was Hawkeye, motherfucker.
I have never seen that.
Well, buckle up. Well, before we go, does anybody have anything going on they would like to announce?
Yes.
Good.
Bastard Sons of Judas Go, my band. We've got a few shows coming up. Just go to our Facebook page and look it up. I'm going to be posting all our dates here soon. I've been writing stories for Any Last Words magazine. I'll be doing that for that magazine as well as their other magazine they're putting out, which is kind of like horror movie meets like Playboy, called Creepella. And I'm also got my stories in there as well. Let's see, Graveyard Talk with me and Whitman, Nasty Nation, all that. Check it out, Facebook. Always like releasing shit, Anchor and Spotify and all that. Yeah, that's it at the moment, I think. I never know.
You never know. It's day by day with us. Well, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for so much for listening. This has been Clint Knight.
One quick question: was that Hawkeye clip? Was that the original Hawkeye before Jeremy Renner and Marvel, got around to it?
Yeah, maybe we'll do an episode on it.
Is that really like the superhero? That isn't like no.
No. He's like a fucked up cop or something.
Asian karate man. This fucking Hawkeye.
It looks horrible.
What are we doing next week, fellas?
Is it horror related by any chance?
It is.
I do believe it is.
It is.
What is it?
It's the Ghost
We are doing
Killer.
the Scream franchise.
The Ghost Space Killer.
With the new movie
Because-
coming out, Ghostface Takes Manhattan, we figure, what the hell? Let's dive into the Scream series.
Yeah.
Scream 6 coming out next week. So we're gonna hit you up early. We're gonna cover the Scream franchise. It looks like it's gonna be painful for Chuck, but we'll get through it together.
There's
All right.
3 good movies in that franchise, but whatever. I'm not
But
watching
wait.
them all.
Dash more.
Usually is.
Another Wayans reference.
Oh. Well, we thank you all again. This is the Video Store Clerks Podcast. I'm Dave.
Yeah, man.
I'm Mike.
Chuck.
Good night.